I figured out. All right. Hi, Judy. Everyone, welcome to Laugh Lines and Turbulence. We have Judy Kane here today. And I'm messing with technology as always, but I am pulling up the live on Facebook and I figured out how to do this. Come on, select the page. There we go. I did it.
Hey.
Yay. All right. So welcome, Judy. We're so glad to have you here. It's setting up for the meeting. Facebook Live. It's thinking. What? What did this do?
It says it's being live streamed.
Does it?
Yes, it's live. Yeah, it does.
Okay. Well, I'm very excited. Okay, there we go. Got it. All right. So welcome, Judy. We're so excited and welcome everyone to Laugh Lines and Turbulence. I don't even know what week we're on now. Oh my gosh, we're so excited. We got just have one great speaker after another and lots of great, fun, fruitful conversation. So today we have Judy. I'm going to introduce Judy. I'm going to read your bio. Need my glasses though, because of the blind thing. Okay, let's see here. So Judy Kane of Aligned Consciousness helps you identify and transform limiting beliefs that keep you or your clients stuck. These changes help your subconscious mind support your conscious goals. She also hosts workshops and presents in group sessions, conferences, retreats, and podcasts. Whoop, whoop. A native of Richmond, Virginia, her household usually includes a rescued cat or dog or two. She is the author of Your Four Truths: How Beliefs Impact Your Life. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you. I'm so looking forward to this. We're going to laugh, aren't we?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we are. Debbie and I are always laughing.
You can count on us, Judy.
Oh yeah. We'll get the laughter going. So our goals with Laugh Lines and Turbulence is to reach to women who are in their 50s plus, who are doing amazing things with their lives, whether they've transformed into a different career or they're just doing wonderful things for our world. And so that's why we wanted you on, Judy, because of what you're doing with Aligned Consciousness.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
I read your bio, Judy. So I'm looking now and read this about you, Aligned Consciousness, and I was so super excited because I love how you, after you turned 50, you figured out pretty much, and correct me if I'm wrong, the power of the subconscious mind. And that is a topic that I have been studying for the last few years. Joseph Murphy's The Power of the Subconscious Mind book is a book that one of my favorite books that have changed my life. And super exciting how you started this business here. What was I wanted to ask you, and I've been thinking about you today, is what was that moment when you realized, or what was that aha moment that you understood that the subconscious mind was reprogramming, that subconscious mind was the key to success and changing your beliefs?
I think the biggest aha moment was when I saw somebody for the first time use the process that I have learned, which is called Psych K. And I saw that it worked, which was stunning. My husband then had a pain somewhere, and in less than 5 minutes it was gone, didn't come back. That was impressive to me. And it was also a process that I could see I could learn. Many other things that I had seen his friends use for different reasons required you to interpret messages or be intentionally moving energy like Reiki or something like that, which I didn't feel very confident I'd be able to do. But this was a process I could see I could learn. And just the potential of it was so exciting.
Very good. And this is something that's been for if people like kind of look into it, it's been going on for so many years. Like
Since the 80s, yeah.
yes, reprogramming your subconscious mind and the beliefs that you have that were ingrained in you, especially by other people, and you have to pretty much just like redo yourself, kind of in a way.
Well, and figure out what it is, because
Yeah.
it's not clear. What's in the subconscious isn't always obvious.
Mm,
You see the clues in your life, but you don't always know why those things are happening.
right, right. Excellent. Love that so much.
Well, I know from just working with you, Judy, um, just those couple of sessions that we did, it's pretty remarkable because, like you said, you don't really like know. And I know like you'd ask me initially, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why I think that way. But really digging deeper into that and really finding a way to overcome the fears or whatever it is that you're dealing with. For me, it was, kind of this whole like getting out into the public with my author business and everything and now look at us.
I was
We're
going
on
to say,
a
look at
podcast.
you now.
I did my best and my best is good enough.
Absolutely true. Yes.
Yeah. So you had other careers prior to starting Align
Yeah,
Consciousness.
I did.
And so did you work at like corporate, like
Mhm.
IT management, right?
IT management for
Okay.
large corporate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 5 years between that and this as a realtor.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow. So did you
Very
have any?
obvious trajectory, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're all connected.
Yeah. They actually are if you look backwards, but you wouldn't plan it this way.
Yeah. Did you have any pushback from like when you told family or friends,
Yeah.
hey, this is what I'm doing now?
Yes. I still get some concerned looks. Because I've got such a different perspective since I've
Mhm.
learned more about the subconscious and done a lot of work with myself.
Right.
I don't approach things or life the same way I did when I was, in a 60-plus hour job for corporate. And and that was something that the friends and family were all very familiar with. It's what
Mm,
my children specifically, it's the only thing they'd ever known me to do.
mm,
And this just seemed like I'd gone off into the woods somewhere, right? It was just, you're doing what? Um,
mhm.
yeah.
But is it have they seen your, I mean, you're very successful. I could see your book is on Amazon. I'm purchasing it today. So I can't wait to get it. So
Thanks.
your family who've been so concerned about your change of career because you've had probably like my son's in IT, so they're thinking you have such a stable career to go into something so different,
Mhm.
and they look at you like, what's wrong with you? But look how well you're doing, and it works. That this stuff works. And is it hard to convince your family and friends? Like I know sometimes when I talk about the subconscious mind to my family or friends, they're like, oh, she's talking about this crazy woo-woo stuff. And I'm like, no, you guys, this works. It's hard to get people to change their mind about it.
And I don't really try to get them to change their minds.
Yeah,
Just like when I'm talking with people who might be interested in what I can do with them, it's not a sales or a convincing thing.
right,
With them, it's a matter of this is what I can do. Is that something you want? Right? I mean,
perfect,
you can't convince people I don't try to convince people or talk them
right.
into it. And I take the same approach with the people whose eyebrows are still raised, what is it, 13 years later. Um, you're doing what? And it's like, it's okay. They don't have to agree with it. And I mean, nobody wants me to fail. They just don't
Right,
really
right.
understand it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing. Like what you just said perfectly. They just either, like you said, don't understand it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. No, definitely.
That's, yeah. and I know Debbie and I have had this talk. So for me, I'm still in my full-time day position doing everything else, which people look at me like I'm crazy because I'm doing that, right? But they say don't quit your day job, so I didn't. Um, I don't know who they are.
Right? Yeah, that's a good question.
Who are
And who
they?
are they?
Never, yeah, we've never figured out who they are. But
Yeah.
anyways, but I know that Debbie got pushback from several people too when she switched from medical and going into being a
Uh-huh.
flight attendant. So, and it
Yeah.
was just something she was very passionate about. And so
And
what, yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go
I
ahead.
was just going to ask, is that what's giving you joy now? The flight attendant?
It is. It is giving me joy. And Judy, to be honest, one of the reasons it gives me so much joy is because in my intuition, I knew that's what I wanted to do. That was my intuition. And studying, like Joseph Murphy's The Power of the Subconscious Mind, and I also read a great book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And just, putting aside the beliefs that I couldn't do it, and then doing the reprogramming, and just the affirmations every day, and like, no, this is who I am now, and this is what I'm going to do now, and just kind of blocking out the outside noise of other people's opinions and other people's beliefs about what you should do. I remember one of my, and this was, we're all over the age of 50. So anytime we do a life change after the age of 50, it's not just scary for us, but it's kind of worrisome for your family, your children, your spouse, and they're like wondering if you're okay, and are you sure that's what you want?
Is it just a phase?
Yeah.
Right.
Are you
Do
sure
we
you're
need to
not
watch
going?
her more closely?
Yeah, exactly. And right, and you have to tell them, no, I'm not nuts. Like, for the first time in my life, I'm alive. For the
Mhm.
first time in my life, I am alive, and I know what I want to do, and I know in my heart that this is the right thing to do. And what Gina was saying, how you were describing I did have a lot of self-doubt. There was times that I would be laying in bed and thinking, what am I doing? And, do I go with what's I thought was safe, or do I do what my intuition tells me? So just to kind of getting over that fear. So, maybe you can give us some advice of figuring out the beliefs that we have, that you said we don't even know that we have, that we don't know what's blocking us.
Yeah, well, I can sometimes, well, the best thing to do is look for patterns. If you're looking for clues, you look for patterns. If you feel anxious when you think about doing something, often that's related to a fear of something. If you feel shame or guilt or doubt, that might be connected with some self-worth beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that could maybe get you a little ways in. One thing that, instead of trying to figure out what it is that's the belief or set of beliefs that are getting in the way, is just getting very clear about what you want to be true. And then immersing yourself in images and examples of how that's going to look when it is true.
Mhm.
And so you don't really need to know what's in the way. You're just letting your subconscious know what you want.
Mhm.
That's
Excellent.
beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
I was thinking when I was walking today, there's so many like threads that go through like manifestation and setting intentions and what you're talking about, Judy, um, that they're all threaded together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But I have seen that make changes for people without having to find somebody who actually does work with you to change beliefs. So it's
Yeah.
a good place to start. It's
Yeah.
always a good thing to give some thought to what it is you really want instead of what you're trying to avoid, right?
Yeah. I think also like some self-discovery at some point. You get that it's like Gina and I call it the aha moment,
Mhm.
that you get that awareness that, oh my gosh, I have some power, or most of the power, and where the rest of my life is going to go. It's just believing in it. And,
Yeah.
and what your dream or your plan is just believing in that plan.
And giving yourself permission.
Yep. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And I think like what Debbie said, you have to, it's not only like your own, those maybe negative thoughts or thoughts that haven't served you in the past, right? So get overcoming that, but also like Debbie said, be having the ability to kind of not listen and let your mind start getting overcome with what other people are thinking too and what they're saying to you, because I think that can become very confusing. Can send you, and like Debbie said, laying in bed going, am I doing the right thing? Which I'm sure there was a combination of those two things like working on on your head, Debbie. I don't know. Judy calls it head trash, and I love that.
I love that term head trash because
Yeah.
a lot of the times, majority of the stuff that's in your head is garbage. And even scenarios of things you make up, they're not even true. They're
Right,
not even,
absolutely. Now, some of
yeah,
them, like trash, may have been useful once, right? But they're not helpful now. So
right.
yeah, take it out.
I love
Yeah.
that. Taking out the trash out of
Oh my gosh. Judy, how has so do you see all ages of folks, or are you finding that a lot of women, and I'm sure you serve men too, but do you find a lot of women kind of they hit this 50 mark or about 50 and then they're rethinking their lives or rethinking wanting to, I need something, I need to do something. Something's not right.
Mhm.
Met quite a few people that, you know, were feeling unfulfilled and are basically, they didn't find what they wanted in corporate. And so now they're
Mhm.
Yeah.
trying something that they think is going to make them happier.
Mhm.
And so there are a lot of those people, but I see people of all ages, and men and women. It's this, you can change these beliefs it's really easy when they're really young. um but it's never too late to change things that are not helping you live your best life.
I love that. I love how you put it's never too late to change things. And I feel that sometimes after especially women, and nothing that men don't, but I think because women have you raised, they were you're a mother, you raise a family, you um you go through menopause, and that's another like milestone you reach. I'm going to call it a milestone, okay, that
Okay.
you reach, that you kind of feel like, oh, this is a little touch of reality here, just a little reality check, my mortality a little bit, how much I got, so many XYZ years left, because now that I've hit menopause. But we still have quite a ways to go after that. So I
Absolutely.
feel that at that age, in our 50s, and once we hit, start getting into menopause, we feel a little in this weird limbo. Like, what can I do, that I want to fulfill? Like, I always wanted to do XYZ. I always wanted to change careers. I always wanted to do something else. But you still kind of are, even though your children are adults, you're still so much into their lives. And now if they have children, now you're a grandmother. So this is a very weird time for women. I feel that's a very like pinnacle point of their life that,
I think you're right. And I think, some of it gets modeled. I know my grandmother never worked. My mother worked, but by the time my children were little, she had retired. So they were each available for their grandchildren.
Mhm.
Um, I wasn't as much, right? Because,
Yeah,
it's just from the time available type of a thing. My
yeah,
grandmother kept me when I was little. My mother kept my children frequently when they were little. And that's when you're doing something else during the day, it's more difficult to um, feel okay that you're not doing that thing you saw being done for the generations earlier.
Okay, love that so much. That's
Yeah.
perfect. And that's like not feeling, maybe, like you said, feeling okay, maybe not feeling a little guilty that you're starting to do something a little bit more towards a goal for yourself instead of following that, kind of traditional, I'm just gonna stay home and continue taking care of grandchildren that, now that I'm done with the kids and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And it's okay.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I get tremendous joy out of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the quality time would not be the same. Well, and my grandchildren are older now. I mean, they don't need somebody to be there with them every second. But it was fun when I had time with them, and I was always happy to help out with the add a third schedule to the mix when somebody was needed. But I've got my own things that are going on. Whereas what I observed, it wasn't like they gave up their identity particularly, but they weren't living their own path as much as I have chosen to.
Got it. Yep. Yep. Perfect. That's perfectly said.
So do you mean like your mom and your grandmother? Yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot of that was so traditional, right?
absolutely.
I mean, my mom, I mean, she worked full time, and I mean, they were available to, watch the kids periodically and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Mine's really.
yeah, but a lot of that was so generational, and
Mhm.
again, that expectation on women, and now we're finding women getting into their 50s now, and like Debbie said, like what are we supposed to do? I really want to do this. I
Yeah.
want to pursue this dream or whatever it is. But what am I supposed to be doing? And like society has like built into us what our role is from
Yeah.
very young.
Right. And that shows up with subconscious beliefs. I uncovered quite a few that were like, that I needed to change based on what I learned growing up. You get most of your subconscious beliefs by the time you're 7.
Yeah.
So what I saw was a grandmother who I lived with until I was 5, doing nothing outside of the home. The house was spotless and she took care of me, and, the food was all, made from scratch and all. I mean, she was busy, but she wasn't doing anything outside of the house. And that's, those go in as subconscious beliefs in terms
Yeah.
of you should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did she ever say she wanted to do something other? Or did she ever mention having a dream or?
It was really interesting. A lot of my family were overeducated. Um, and my grandmother, her father let her go to normal school, which is where teachers went to get training to be teachers. But he wouldn't let her become a teacher because he said she needed to leave those jobs for people who needed the jobs.
Wow.
Wow.
She was kind of she was definitely, she liked the teacher role. She had me reading real books by the time I was 4. And I don't think I was a genius. I think she was just, she taught me how to read.
Yeah.
But it was, I'm sure that's something. She was very smart. She was very witty. She had a lot of energy. She could have been amazing in so many things.
Yeah.
And I don't think it ever even crossed her mind to regret it or think about doing something else.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you have those beliefs, I can remember my pediatrician saying, I bet you'd be happier if you stayed home with the kids. And I'm going, what a weird thing to say, because it's not something I ever considered because it was never an option. I wasn't thinking about, well, if this weren't true, then I could be doing something else. It was, I had the family and I had the job, and I never even considered how to manage being a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And I don't think she did either. My guess is it's just, this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. This is how you do it.
Wow. Wow. Just kind of going with the motion of that. That's interesting. Yeah.
And the subconscious that says
Yeah.
this is your role, basically.
Oh my gosh. So Judy, let me ask you, I'm sure you've had people that you've, helped and coached that probably have uncovered far more that they could have even imagined in their subconscious,
Sure.
you
Absolutely.
know?
All the time. They're frequently very surprised at what it was that was getting in their
Yeah.
way. Mhm.
Yeah. But what a relief to discover that that's what was holding you back, or that was what your belief was. I mean, how how liberating it must be when they do when they do talk to you, and they do discover, like, oh my gosh, my belief of, let's say an example, I'm not worthy of money, or like the money belief, that's a big one too.
Money's huge. Yeah.
That whole money thing, and how we limit ourselves of maybe, because of the beliefs we have about money. Like, some people have beliefs that money, we just don't, I know in my family growing up was, we're just not that kind of people.
Mhm.
We just will
And we
never
don't
have
want to
it.
be, because you don't want to be like those people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. My parents were pretty much like, well, we're not that kind of people that have money, and we wouldn't want it anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's evil or whatever,
Yeah.
their belief that they instilled in us, which gave us, well, I'm not saying, I'm not blaming them, but I'm just saying, like, I had my beliefs of money, like, and it's true. It felt like it just came in one hand and out the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it now that, that's money's a huge, like, it's an energy, it's a belief system, and it's all kind of how you see it. You could see it as being helpful, helping people, employing people, or you can see it as you'll never have it, and your subconscious mind will always act out or self-sabotage you to never have it.
Absolutely. And you're right. Money is one of the most conflicting beliefs,
Mhm.
areas, because
Right.
in addition to that, it can be that you only get it if you work really hard for it. So you can have a subconscious helping you stay away from the money that's going to make you work 24/7, right? It's
Yeah.
protecting you from that
Yeah.
fate. The root of all evil. There's not enough to go around. You shouldn't have more than you need.
Doesn't grow on trees.
Doesn't grow on
It doesn't
trees.
grow on
All
trees.
these things that, yeah, really impact your ability to either make it or keep it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you. And it's fascinating how, when you talk about the subconscious mind, how it's almost just robotically, like, your conscious mind sometimes doesn't even know that your subconscious is just acting out like a robot when it's
It's
been
working hard.
programmed to.
Yeah, it's your default system. It's when you're not trying to do something else, this is what you fall back into.
Yeah.
And it's just going through the rules that it's learned,
Yeah.
the belief systems.
Yeah.
And so, that's what people, why I really want people to understand that it can be there, because otherwise you're blaming yourself when things
Mhm.
don't work out. You don't realize there's a force working against you
Mhm.
in these cases, and it might not be things that you really want to be true for yourself.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Do you it just is just such an exciting topic. So I'm asking tons of questions, Judy. I'm sorry, Gina. I'm so sorry. If you But I'm like, Judy is like, I'm just like so excited about having her
All
on. So
week,
just
all week, I get a text. I can't wait to hear from Judy.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, let's keep talking, because I love,
Let's keep talking. This is your
it's my topic.
specialty.
Yeah.
I'm
So
like, you're gonna love her.
yeah, I know. I told you, like, even today, I was like to text Gina. I'm like, I can't wait till we talk to Judy.
That's
And
so,
that's
I'm like, oh,
exactly the voice behind the text.
I go, and then that's the voice behind the text. And then even my husband, I told my husband, I go, you're not going to want to miss this one because I'm going to tell you. But Judy, do you notice that people that you they're limiting belief, or whatever their beliefs are, just they match? Do you see that they match up with other people that have the similar beliefs? Like, I feel like maybe, oh, I don't, but does their subconscious mind kind of seek out another person who match up kind of to their similar beliefs?
oh, interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know that I've ever looked at it from that standpoint.
Mhm.
Typically, so in relationships, for
Yes.
instance, when people have patterns of relationships, they would rather be different.
Okay.
In that case, I don't believe that's true because, if you find yourself in a relationship that's not very supportive,
Right.
um, it's unlikely that the other person is going to have that same.
Mhm.
They're usually going to be more of an opposite thing, and they're
Okay.
looking for somebody
Yeah.
who isn't used to having a supportive relationship because they're not going
Mhm.
to support them.
Right. Right.
So in that regard, but it might be that is a way of selecting like partners when it's about money or work ethic.
Mhm.
That would be certainly a lower risk because there's, more similarity.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It could create real chaos in a family if one was a huge believer in, oh, let's just try it and see what happens, and the other
Mhm.
one was risk aversive,
Yeah.
or totally different money paradigms. That could create a lot of friction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Brain fog.
Awkward silence.
We always have this awkward silence and everybody just gets silent and it's nothing weird, but it's just like brain fog.
We're just like absorbing everything. I
Yes.
suggested to Gina that we maybe should just have a sound effect plugged in at this point, something like,
Wheels turning or
yeah,
Yeah.
cricket.
yeah.
We just got to figure out how to do it.
We're not very tech savvy, but you do have an IT background, Judy. So any suggestions
Yes.
would be
Right. I didn't
appreciated.
specialize in sound effects,
This
but
is the real reason we had John.
oh,
We
okay. Well,
we
I'd
need
have to do a
help
little
in other
research on that.
ways.
We always have IT issues with the beginning of our podcast
It
or
went
show.
fine this morning. I mean,
It
this
did.
afternoon. Yeah.
Yes, it did. Because we pushed aside those beliefs that it wouldn't, Judy.
Yes. Yes. There we
And
go.
there we are.
Here we
Yes.
are. Well, Judy, I
So,
just think about how many people through your work with them,
mhm.
how many people like the impact you're making in our world
Yeah.
by helping people to heal, because it's a lot of that healing has to be from the inside out, right?
Yeah.
And I I find it amazing that you took that risk, you found this and you had so much faith in it that you could help others. And I'm so glad that you busted out on your own and did this because, I for me, and I think for a lot of people, like you want to leave a legacy and not
Mhm.
necessarily be rich or famous, but to really have an impact on humanity and
Yeah.
on healing people. And I just love that you're doing it.
Thank
Thank
you. It
you.
really feels on purpose for me, not on purpose. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? On
Yeah.
my purpose,
Yes.
to
Yes.
me. And it's joyful, really. It's one of the most reliable places for me to be in the present when I'm working with people.
I love that so much. That's amazing. I do. And like Gina said, how many people you felt that you felt this when you started getting into this and you saw how it helped you and you just wanted to help other people. Like you were like, hey, this 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 has helped me and I want to share this with the rest of the world, which is amazing. I love that so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the first workshop in 2011. I didn't start the business for 3 years. Um,
Yeah.
I was mainly just learning it for me and people I knew. And
Yeah.
then it was just too good I had to start the business. It was just, I had to reach more people. So yeah, that was the reason for it, but it was not our original intent.
So wonderful.
Yeah. And then I got the second, passion. It's the two-pronged thing, right? One is actually helping people change the beliefs. And the other one is, taking opportunities like being on this podcast or speaking or, writing the book or, any of the other ways that I'm able to help people understand. what subconscious beliefs are and how they're showing up in their life, because, helping them get that understanding lets them make decisions on what they want to, do about changing things.
Mhm.
But otherwise, they're just blaming themselves, thinking they're not working hard enough, they're not smart enough, they're goofing off, they're beating themselves up for things
Yeah.
that, uh,
Yeah.
are really harder than they think they are.
Yeah. Well, or they don't know, kind of like me, like having that underlying anxiety of getting on something like this, right? And this is when I was just being a guest on podcasts prior to that, but this anxiety and not knowing, but it was just such an overwhelming, almost paralyzing anxiety that I had. But I knew that I had to do something to be able to be successful with my writing and stuff. You got to get in front of your people, is basically, the whole thing of the author. And I knew that, but how you get past, like, and I didn't know what that anxiety was. So
Right,
that's
right.
where your services really helped with that.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's really good when it's like you got those, mild or overwhelming, it's anything from just a constant baseline stress to phobic reactions to things, right? I mean,
Yeah.
those are all, if it's a pattern, they're subconscious beliefs causing that. And people just seem to think it's, well, it's just the way I am. And no, it doesn't have to be.
It can be better.
It can be
Mhm.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can feel better. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. Love that.
I used to be terrified to talk in front of, more than 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And, I love it now, but I had to do the work with myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it always does start with ourselves.
Mhm.
It's not, we're the only ones that can make that change. Not anybody else can do that for you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it helps when you got the tools.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Very
absolutely. The
true.
tools for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, no, definitely.
So cool.
Um,
So going to so we'll kind of shift into the whole like 50 and beyond. So, and you talked about your mom and your grandmother. Like, did you find that they talked to you much about like once you hit 50 or even, oh, I mean, not when you were very young, but at all, like
Not at
growing up?
all. Crickets. It was like nobody had any, I didn't get any subconscious beliefs about that from them.
okay. Yeah.
Which I think was probably why I didn't have a very rough time with it, because I wasn't expecting to.
Mm, that's a good point. Yep.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
Very.
no, nobody ever said anything about it one way or, well, we didn't talk much about body functions or or a lot of topics, so I mean, this was just one of many things that didn't get discussed a lot. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really never heard any conversation about, and my mother it was interesting. Um, she was a very traditional person, but she had some really, um, it, alternative beliefs about certain things, like people
Mm,
live up to your expectations, or, she kind of understood the power of words.
Mm.
mm, okay.
And so she was always very careful of how she spoke about situations or whether she spoke about them and what words she used when she did. So there
Interesting.
was a little bit of that I got growing up, even though she was not, what you would call a forward thinker,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a lot of other ways.
Hmm.
That's amazing.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost like superstitious, you don't talk about diagnoses of illnesses, and
Mhm.
don't, because then you've already got the expectation of what
Right.
that's going to play out as, right? I mean, that type of thing, which, um, I need to point out to my children that I didn't start this. It was stuff
Yeah.
in the family before me that was kind of going down this path on a not so obvious way.
But That's a very good observation, though, when you really
Yeah.
think about it. And I have to remember, even with my own mother, like I don't know what's going on 100% in her head, or what she completely believes, or what she, only what she kind of shows me or tells me. But there's just so much more, going on inside each and every one of us that we don't always exhibit out, or tell people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're very complicated, each of us, in our own way, right? Uniquely complicated.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
makes it so interesting.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Think what it would be like if we were all the same. That would be
Oh my
just,
God.
oh, nothing but vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
So,
I always say, thank goodness my husband and I are complete opposites, because I don't think I could be married to my person.
well,
Would drive me
and
nuts.
you want complementary
Yeah.
traits, right?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when they first learned some of the like Myers-Briggs way back with the personality,
Yeah.
all the different ways they tried to, give you names and labels.
Categorize you.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And it was like where I worked, they were very good at bringing in that type of information, doing training and all sorts of interesting things. Some of it was alarming, but others of it was
Yeah.
was
Well,
really interesting, right? But it was always like, we don't want all, it's like, oh, look, we could all be analytics. And they're going, no, you don't want all of you to be analytics, because nobody would ever get anything done, right? I mean, you need the mix on a team of the
Right.
different personality types and skill
Yeah.
sets, all of those things to have your best outcomes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting how you brought up the Myers-Briggs, because I remember like taking, the test, and like, oh, like, I am an TP or whatever.
Yeah.
And like my husband's like initials are complete opposite. He's INTJ, and I am ENTP or ENF. No, ENFP. It was just so funny.
Debbie's just
And
making up letters right now.
They're all real letters.
and then we were at the YMCA.
WXYZ.
But now we're just XY. But
That's right.
I didn't know. It was like once I started like kind of getting into, like, let's say, reading the books like about the subconscious mind and some other things like manifestation and stuff, that some things are kind of malleable. Like, your personality can change a little bit, when you start changing your beliefs about certain things, I feel. I mean, I don't think nothing's ever set in stone.
Absolutely. Nothing is
Yeah.
set in stone, for sure.
Nope.
There's always the opportunity for something to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
100%.
such a beautiful thing too, because
No.
we all have this power, right? This wonderful like gifts to be able to, if it's not working quite well this way, we all have this gift to be able to do something about it.
Yeah.
It's the good news and the bad news, right? We have the gift and the opportunity and the ability to, and it's also up to us.
Yes. Yes. And making that choice every
Uh-huh.
single day,
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
waking hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every waking minute.
Yeah.
In some
It's
cases.
work. Sometimes it's work. I'm like, oh my God, I have to, people today or something.
I'm on this new thing. I watched a Mel Robbins podcast, and I'm on this new kick of like drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, going outside and getting daylight. And then I'm doing a walk now because I'm like, I'm outside. I don't want to look like an idiot walking in front of my house doing nothing. So I might as well, I have to exercise. So I might as well go for a walk. But now I'm like, drink your water, go out for your walk. And I'm only in a week and a half.
How's it
So
going?
what if you said I get to in front of each of those?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I get to. I love
get
that.
to. Yeah.
Yep.
Because it is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mhm.
people who can't, who physically can't get out there and do that. It is such a gift to look at the flowers in the morning and to see the sun come up.
Yeah.
You don't realize how many gifts are the opportunities to see those gifts unless you do it. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or just having water that you can actually drink.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
not everybody has that even.
Yes. Yeah.
Just being grateful, just even for the small stuff every day.
That's huge.
That helps a lot. Just the gratitudes every day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it
And
sets the filter, right? I mean, the more you look for the things to be grateful for, the more of them you're going to see, because that's you can't absorb everything. So your brain kind of focuses in on what your in, you know, what your intention is. And so
what do
yeah.
they say, where your attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Reticular
Absolutely.
activating system is the one
Yeah.
that is kind of like picks out the things that are in line with what it is you've been thinking
Right.
about.
Even the same thing with problems. If you go through the day like just looking for problems, you will find evidence of that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Or evidence of scarcity of
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
it is. Or, you know, not evidence of scarcity, but you don't see that things are out there if you don't believe they're there.
That's right. And you know what? In your work with the subconscious mind too, I feel like when I started studying all that, you start to brush away some of the fog that you believed in, and then you can see the opportunities just start popping up and showing up on your doorstep practically.
Yeah.
You just like, and then your subconscious mind's like, hey, you know what? That's a good idea. Maybe you should talk to that person. Or they're reading something, even on the airplane. Sometimes, like, I'll see, you know, when I'm at work, I'll see somebody. I had this one passenger who sat down and he had this book by Neville Goddard, who I love. Neville Goddard is about, like, you know, manifesting, and he talks about the subconscious mind too. And then we just started talking, and then we started talking about something else, and we shared book, like subjects, and it was just amazing. Like, you start to see the opportunities, start to see things. You're like, oh, let me try that or do this. And it's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Well, and I think of it like magnets, right? So like if you're thinking positive and you're um looking at the positive, you're going to draw more of that energy to you. And likewise with negativity, you'll draw more negative. Thought I saw something walk outside the window, but it's not.
Is it a bear? You got
No,
bears.
it's not a bear, but we do have a bear in town who's crazy. Like he shows up at people's yards and everything, or right by the main road. So they're crazy up here. Yes, but it wasn't a bear. But
Good.
yeah, like really that mind shift and
Mhm.
and the opportunities, looking at things as opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think like what you said, Judy, that you have this like, well, how did you phrase that? I get to
Mhm.
do
Yeah.
oh it's reframing your thoughts and your talk and your mind and everything. So absolutely um love that. You had two books that you recommended. So The Biology of Belief and The Honeymoon Effect.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
what are can you like do kind of a little blurb about them and like the difference between the two?
Yeah. They're both by Bruce Lipton.
Okay.
Um, and they both have to do with creating an environment that lets you thrive, right? It's all based on, and the environment is set by your belief system. Now, the biology of belief is dealing more with physical symptoms in the body.
Okay.
He's a doctor, and he's really into very detailed scientific information in the biology of belief. But he also has these amazing case studies and examples of all the ways this has shown up in physical manifestations, right?
Yeah.
And the difference between a placebo effect and a nocebo effect, and just all that stuff is fascinating. And also I skimmed some of the very detailed biological stuff because it wasn't my interest area to learn
Mhm.
down to the very nitty gritty of what he was very interested in.
Yeah.
So I was going for a slightly higher level of understanding of it. The honeymoon effect is about the same thing. It's about the impact of your subconscious beliefs,
Mhm.
but it's more focused on in terms of relationships and loving, creating a life that you love, basically.
Yeah.
Using the subconscious beliefs. It's a lighter read, but it still goes into the physical symptoms, but the premise is, so many people are going, well, this disease runs in my family, so this is what I'm going to get. And
Mhm.
there's a very small percent of diseases that are actually definitely inherited. You might have tendencies for it, but the things going on in your body either turn those on or off or leave them alone, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to read it and get that perspective from somebody who studied it from a scientific
Yeah.
viewpoint.
Yeah.
I love that these books that you just brought, that you brought up, and I'm definitely going to look into that. I was formerly in the medical field before I became a flight attendant, and during a particular time, I started to see kind of like the mind over matter, and how the studies of how people with the right mindset, with with a certain diagnosis, did did much better than people that did not, and it really does, the mind really does control the body to a very great extent. And the other thing is, and I tell people too, when I talk about this, because I get a lot of, I have to be very careful because I get a lot of, I'm talking woo woo and stuff like that. But you do believe, and sometimes I tell people, you do believe you make yourself sick too. If you can make yourself sick by stress and worry, you raise your cortisol levels, your insulin spikes, due to stress. Your body is reactive, to stress and makes yourself sick. You most definitely can start doing things to help make yourself well.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the connection, I'm never surprised, but frequently, well, the first time I saw it used, it was for a physical symptom, right?
Mhm.
And I've seen it play out over and over again when I work with people, but I'm never, it's still amazement to me, that connection, right? People can come in with something that's been an acute pain for a long time, or immobility issues, where you can tell immediately that something has shifted based
Yeah.
on changing a belief. And I've seen
Yeah.
significant pains just go away in 5 minutes. It's
Mhm.
stunning, that mind body connection. But
Mhm.
you think about people who get a terminal diagnosis and get, well, you've got 6 months to live, and frequently that comes true. I don't think it's because all those doctors were amazing prognos
Prognosis,
people,
prognosis. Yeah.
whatever, I
Right,
don't think
right.
it was because they were that good at knowing the timeline, right? It's because they said it that it came true. And
Mhm.
Bruce Lipton has in his book lots of, several examples where,
Yeah.
after the death at the time that it was supposed to be, that condition wasn't even in the body.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
That's that is like a whole nother, and honestly, working in the medical field is when I really started to see things after I turned 50. I worked during 2020, and I saw so many things, and I've seen like miracles happen too,
Yeah,
pretty much. And
absolutely.
that's when it started to, I'm like, there's got to be something to this. And then started reading. I really got into Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
I love Dr. Joe Dispenza so much.
Yes.
And he talks about all of this as well. And what you were talking about, I forgot the word that you used, reticulating activating system, or
Reticular activating system.
yeah. So he talks about that as well, and how, the mind can help heal the body. And then he has a great documentary on called Heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's great.
excellent. Yeah.
It's
I was
phenomenal.
just stunned reading his story about how he like willed his spine to go back I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, isn't that fascinating? I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Mhm.
yeah,
And the other stories that were in the documentary and Heal and how everything, the other stories that were in the documentary, a lot of it was based on belief of
Mhm.
this one lady had a rash and she just had this, just kept this belief and these unresolved traumas or whatever issues she had when she was a child, that her body was responding to all of this
yes.
stress and beliefs that she had. Like it was just, and we will, there are things we just don't know. I mean, I can't, when I was 25, I knew everything, Judy.
Yes, you did.
I
Right?
knew
I'm
everything at
here
20.
to prove it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And everything and then
I
I
remember.
worked with at 25 I knew everything. But I worked with this one nurse I many years ago. I worked in pediatrics. I worked in different fields, different hospitals, and I remember her telling me her name was Susan. I loved her so much, Susan Doolittle, and she was 30. She's about 30 years older than me, and I was 30. She was maybe 16. And one time she told me, we were actually, I think it was at a wake or something, and she says, the older I get, the less I know. And I'm like, and it's so true. Like the older I get, the more I I learn, the more things there's more things out there for me to learn. Instead of thinking at 25, I know everything. The older I get, the more I learn. That's how I see it.
I love it. Yeah.
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 And there's another book when you were talking about Joe
Yeah.
Dispenza that you might
Yeah.
like to read, really. It's called Dying to Be Me. It's by Anita Morjani.
Yes. Oh, yes, I love Anita. Actually, I have one of her books right here. It was the something about empath. It was
Read her first one, Dying to Be
okay.
Me.
Yes,
That's,
I love Anita Morjani.
yeah.
Yes, I will. I'll grab that one too. Well, I do have one of her books that I think it was. I forgot. I can't remember the exact title. But it was about being an empath. But yeah,
Yeah.
I will check out her book. Thank you for the recommendation. I
She's
didn't know she had
lovely.
another
Yeah.
one. Yes,
Yeah.
very, very. She's great. I love her.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Love it. Love the recommendations. And we will, Debbie and I, we say this each week, but we got to get our little list together for our viewers of the books that are recommended
Yes.
by our guests. So
Yep.
we're working diligently, guys.
We got
We
to
will
add,
get
yeah,
that
add
out
those
to you.
books and then Judy's website and
Yes.
I'm looking at it like her bio right now. So when I look over that, so I'm looking at all her stuff,
Yeah.
and get all
Yeah.
of those
So
links up there.
So if people want to work with you, Judy, or if they have more questions, even to just kind of explore like more what you do,
Yeah.
or if you can be helpful to them, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
If they go to my website, at the bottom of every page, there's something that says, I don't know what it says, but I don't have it up, but it's at the bottom of it where if you click it, it shows all the things that they could book. One of
Okay.
which is a free 15-minute phone call.
Okay.
And
Okay,
that's
I
best.
see that on there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way. They schedule a call and they can ask more questions about what they particularly want to change or about what I specifically do, or,
Yeah.
just,
Mhm.
we can just have a conversation.
Great.
Yeah.
I
Great.
do see, yeah, perfect. I do see that. You just click on there and I think on one of them, even the links that there, oh, there's a cute little picture there of Judy too on there.
She loves you.
I love Judy.
There she is. There's our Judy.
And it says
Yeah.
services, and on the bottom it says free, like a free consultation that is down on the bottom there. So to talk
Good.
to you.
And I would highly, if anybody is listening, I would highly recommend if you're dealing with something, you're not quite sure, and you like really just want to dig in, give
Or
Judy a
feel
call.
stuck, or even
Great.
just feel
Yes.
stuck.
Yes. She's wonderful to work with. So
Yeah.
highly recommend.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to ask you one more question, Judy.
Okay.
So, is there, now that you're 50 and above,
Who says?
yes, you did in your bio thing.
Okay. Okay.
Is there anything else that you're looking to like accomplish in your life, or like other goals and dreams that you have that you're kind of wanting to do?
Yeah, I keep looking for ways to get the message out to more people, to get the
Yeah.
information out to more people. So,
Yeah.
whatever form that takes, that's what I'm looking at, because it's really important to me that people understand what's going
Yeah.
on with their life, and be able to know that there are things they can do about that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. You're giving them their power back. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more
And-
power they have, it's a ripple effect, right? They have less
Yes.
stress, then the people
Yep.
around them pick up on that, and it goes out further. So yeah, that's my way of contributing.
Love it.
I love that so much. Thank you. And thank you so much for doing that. What an amazing thing that you're doing and the job that you're doing out there. Thank you so much. We're so grateful to have you, Judy.
Oh, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Thanks so much for having me on.
We loved it. We're so happy to have you here. So, and we'll put so for all the listeners, we will put Judy's information
Yeah.
again on the link on Facebook, and then you can find us on YouTube as well. So we'll put it there, and then Spotify. Spotify, they don't
Spotify,
let
yeah.
you. Do they let
Yeah,
you put links on Spotify?
I don't know if I could put the links on Spotify, but I definitely will put it on the YouTube. We'll put it on the YouTubes. We'll put something on TikTok. We'll put something on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then of course our Facebook platform. So
Great.
Yeah.
we'll make sure we'll get as much as we can, Judy, to spread the good word on all of our links, on all of our platforms.
Wonderful. And I'll do the same. Once I
Thank you.
get the link, then I will put it, because I'm mostly on LinkedIn and Facebook. So
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds great. Well, thank you, Judy, and thank you all for tuning in. If you love this and want to keep us going, please share this with other folks and let them know about Laugh Lines and Turbulence so we
Yeah.
can keep on growing and keep changing the world
Yeah.
150 plus at a time.
I love it. That's
I
great.
don't know. I
Yeah.
came up with that.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you, Judy.